take the stage, bringing news from a different page. Truth served hot and bold and strong. Every week we sing along. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Stories that make you think and pray. A light awaits at the end of day. Guided by the stars and stripes, through the stormiest of nights. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. When the world feels like a fight, hold your ground, stand for what's right. In the truth we'll find our way. Ed and Ronnie light the way. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Together we find unity.
All right. I'm having a little difficulty here, Ronnie. So how about you take off to start with?
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on our Monday edition, Red, White, and True. We've got a lot to cover. A lot has gone on in the last 24 hours.
Well, you ain't kidding. And I think I got my issue taken care of. So, as Ronnie said, welcome to Red, White, and True. Ronnie is on the left there. Not normally, as in he's never on the left. I'm on the right. I'm always right. Just ask my wife. She'll tell you that's wrong. But
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, she would tell you that rule number one is I'm always right, meaning she's always right. And rule number two, don't think I'm right, refer back to number one. And that does deserve booze, in my opinion. Boy, Ronnie, we could have went live probably from the time we ended Saturday all the way to right now and still had plenty of things to cover and talk about. It's like major news story after major news story. And
yes,
boy.
Yes. There is a lot going on.
As we get ready to dig into things, see, your mom.
Yeah, saw that.
She thinks she's something. Of course, she is something. Cisco says, God bless America. And
couldn't agree more.
100% right. I'm not sure that everyone agrees with us on God bless America. Sometimes I think there are certain people in the world that thinks God should curse America. And I'm sorry for Maduro and his wife. We don't um, think that God should curse America. We just leave that to you. Uh, Ronnie, did he curse at the judge today in the initial hearing?
Not that I know of. I do know he pled not guilty. Of course he would.
He did cause a scene, didn't he? Didn't the judge have to tell him he'd heard enough? Or
I believe so. I believe
I
so.
believe that
That,
took
that's one of the things I did not dig too far deep into. I did watch the UN Security Council.
yeah.
I watched a few other things going on. Donald Trump talking about how we need Greenland for some strange reason.
Well, I mean, it is a very strategic part
Yeah.
of the world, but I think we've got as much as we want up there security wise. Or we're not hurting for security in that part of the world, so
No.
his fascination with it is somewhat strange, especially uh, with everything that's going on and the world thinking that the United States is trying to take over the world. It's kind of interesting that we are usually the ones worrying about somebody else trying to take over the world, and all of a sudden,
Right.
people are looking at us that way. And you mentioned uh, the UN Security Council, of all places on the entire planet, Russia was lecturing us about aggression.
Yes.
If
Which I
there is
thought was
not
pretty
a
funny.
bigger irony in the world, if there is a bigger irony in the world, I couldn't think of it at this point in time. We'll talk more about that. I've got a little video. I'm sure Ronnie's got something on that as well. There were bets on how long I would rant on this topic. I think 20 minutes was the going amount of time. And I'm not sure that I'll go 20 minutes. Of course, once I get started, you just never know. You plan a sermon to be 30 to 40 minutes, and all of a sudden you're at an hour and a half. And
Right.
uh, well, I'm just joking about that a little bit. If I went an hour and a half, I'd be having to send people around to wake people up in the in the pews. But you know what I'm saying. I don't plan on speaking for 20 minutes, but when I get cutting loose on Russia, oh boy. Sometimes you just have no control over your own self. Uh, what's what's your most interesting thing that's going on right now? What do you think of Iran, Russia, Israel, and Iran, Venezuela, all those different things? What is your favorite thing
Well,
right now?
my favorite thing was probably the UN Security Council, but about Maduro and US's law enforcement operation in there. But there's just so much. We've covered Iran, we've covered Venezuela. I was on at least 4 hours the other day covering about Venezuela. There's another death at Disneyland. This would make number 6 since October. We've covered that. JD Vance's Cincinnati home got broken into. We've just got so much. But I think the thing I enjoyed most was the UN Security Council. Even old Egghead that was talking from Russia.
Egghead, and that's what he looks like. That's for sure.
Yes.
I had a clip, one of my favorites of what's going on, and it was Hegseth up at the microphone when the day that Trump, well, later in the day of when the attack on Venezuela took place. And Hegseth was at the mic. And if you follow me very much at all, I love Pete Hegseth. And when he said FA find out, FA and find out, that was like one of the best lines talking about Maduro. He
Yes.
FA'd and found out. And I had a clip of that, I thought, and I guess I didn't save it. So, do you have any? That's not.
Oh,
Any
how
humorous
can we
thing.
forget? We also forgot to talk about Tim Waltz, one of the other biggest things. He's
Yes,
out.
and I have some things.
He is not running again, and I've got a clip on that as well.
Your mom said that's the smartest thing he's ever did, and I said, well, he could top that by resigning immediately. But the second best thing is he's not running.
Right.
So, you got any Senator Kennedys or?
I actually do. And it's a current one. It is not a replay. It's not as funny, but it's real. It's him being real.
Great sympathy for the people of Venezuela. I feel no sympathy for the Venezuelan government led by Nicolas Maduro. And those who do have sympathy for Maduro, I suspect some of my colleagues do, they shouldn't be driving. They ought to ask for their money back on their GED. Karma's going to eat them someday. Look, the Venezuelan government is not a dictatorship. It's a criminal organization. Venezuela and Maduro, to be specific, he makes his money by selling poison to our kids and to the rest of the world, and by selling illegal oil. And some of my colleagues say, well, he's not selling fentanyl. He's selling cocaine. Like, that's okay. I mean, look, Skillet Head, what do you think they mix the fentanyl with? Street dealers don't walk around saying, here's fentanyl, get your fentanyl right here and it'll kill you. They mix it with the cocaine to give it extra kick. And if they put too much of the fentanyl in the cocaine, you die. You're dead as Jimmy Hoffa. You'll note, and what the Trump administration has been doing is working. You notice we don't see many drug boats these days. There's a reason for that. The cartels in Maduro can't even find a single person to drive them. I feel great sympathy for the people of Venezuela.
He did slip up there, though. I'm trying to remember. I just had it on my tip of my tongue. He feels great sympathy. Do you really think he does? We can't hear you. You must be muted again or something. Well, while he's trying to figure that out, I do have another video about the drug boats since he was talking about them.
Meanwhile, on Wednesday, U.S. forces attacked 2 more boats, killing 5 people who were allegedly smuggling drugs along known trafficking routes. According to the Trump administration, the latest attacks bring the total number of known boat strikes near Venezuela to 35 and the number of people killed to at least 115 since September.
Venezuela, they appear to be heating up again to start off the new year. U.S. Southern Command on Wednesday saying it struck 5 alleged drug smuggling boats over the course of 2 days, killing a total of 8 people. Our White House correspondent Mike Carter, he's live in West Palm Beach, Florida. Following the president, he joins us now with the very latest on those latest strikes. Mike, good morning.
Yeah, Bob, good morning. The U.S. Southern Command, which oversees South America, did not reveal where those strikes on Tuesday and Wednesday occurred. But here is what we know. A video of Tuesday's strikes posted online by Southern Command shows 3 boats traveling in a close formation with the military saying they were in a convoy along known narco trafficking routes and had transferred narcotics between the 3 vessels prior to.
And can you believe that nobody wants to drive a boat anymore from down there? Nobody. Gee, I wonder why.
Oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you this time. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm not even sure I did anything to make me come back.
Yeah, I could see your lips moving, but nothing was coming out.
Yeah,
who knows?
That's how my wife likes things. She sees my lips moving, but she can't hear anything.
Right. Yeah, can you imagine that? Nobody wants to drive a Norco boat anymore. You know, drive it through, one of the heaviest armed fleets in the world, and they're getting shot literally out of the water.
What did he say? 30-some boats and 100.
Yeah, 115.
That would probably give you reason not to volunteer for that mission.
Yeah, for
Of
sure.
course, maybe it's safer than them shooting you at the boat dock for not getting in. I don't know. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Either way, you're blowed up. One is a bullet that, the other is you've got blue pieces all over the ocean. Some blue
Summer
this way
teeth.
and some blue that way.
Donald
summer
Trump has
teeth.
given them summer teeth. Some are here, some are there. Old joke.
There you
But
go.
it's all like I said, Donald Trump said on the 3rd, every boat's 25,000 deaths that they're saving. And surprise, surprise, the lefties are coming out in force. And I was sitting here thinking about this last night, and I am thoroughly confirmed in my thinking that if Donald Trump were to come out of the basement of the White House and he goes to the microphone and he says, "World, I created a time machine and I went back to World War II and I executed Hitler," the Holocaust and World War II is not going to be in the history books. All those people killed in Nazi concentration camps have been saved. Somehow, some way, the left would come out in support of Adolf Hitler.
There is no doubt in
make
my mind.
sense.
There is no doubt in my mind. They proved it for sure here because we've seen videos, huge number of videos out there of people in Venezuela rejoicing. Old
Yes.
people. We had the one lady, she was going to take her walker to people and whip them with a walker and, just rejoicing. And then the video can swing to New York City or wherever, and
Yeah.
it's Americans saying "Free Maduro."
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I can
Free
honestly see
Maduro.
that. The Democrats would come out. We would have Nancy Pelosi. We would have old Pocahontas herself on CNN saying how ridiculous it was that Donald Trump went back in time and murdered Adolf Hitler and saved lives. It was a waste of money. It was a waste of time. And all it did was create a dangerous precedent, yada, yada, yada. So stuff like this, I really don't even take with a grain of salt.
Dozens of people are gathered here at Monument Circle with signs that read "Stop the U.S. War on Venezuela." I'm WRTV's Lauren Schwinker, and I talked to multiple protesters about their message.
I woke up to the news this morning that we had bombed Venezuela overnight and kidnapped their president and first lady.
Saturday, Hoosiers who opposed Trump's actions and his promise to run Venezuela gathered on the Circle to protest.
The actions the U.S. took in Venezuela overnight are illegal. They are outrageous.
Indiana's Governor Mike Braun took it to X, saying in part, quote, "By arresting Nicolas Maduro, the president is cutting off narco-terrorism at the source and helping to save Hoosier lives."
We are here in Indianapolis to stand with them and to say that we stand for the people of Venezuela.
Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Lauren Schwinker, WRTV.
Stand for the people of Venezuela. Now, if you had joined us anytime on Saturday, we showed you plenty and plenty and plenty, and I even have more right here, of people celebrating in the streets, celebrate anyone from Venezuela stateside celebrating the Maduro has been captured. But the left somehow thinks that it's the worst thing on the planet. And it was brought up to me, and I'd really like to point out, that happened overnight. They're protesting that morning. Where did they get those professional made signs?
I thought the same exact thing. Where
The
did
cardboard
those
ones that are
signs
painted,
come from?
I get. But those professional signs that were all professional, where'd they get those? Where'd those come from?
They've had them ready to go because they had a feeling that this was going to take place. Yeah, I mean, you can get signs and you can get them made fairly quick, but it takes a little bit of coordination.
Yeah.
You've got to have what you want on it. Again, people that are good at that stuff can do it fairly quickly, but I don't know. And when you look at the protesters, you can't really narrow this down, but you say in your head, didn't we see them the last protest?
Oh yeah.
Weren't that the
Anything?
same people?
We've
really,
gone through two. We've gone through two No Kings protests. Charlie Kirk protests. We've gone through anytime Donald Trump scratches his butt, they're out there protesting, and now they're protesting Maduro's capture. Fortunately, though, I didn't see any dancing vaginas or inflatable dinosaurs or any drag queens, but at least there's that. But give it time. I'm sure they're coming.
Well, that protest was probably too early in the morning.
Too early in the morning, yeah. It makes sense. Yeah.
They had to get their beauty
That makes
sleep.
sense. But that for if you didn't catch on, that was downtown Indianapolis. This is in New York City, which is to be expected, I guess.
It's stupid because they don't know what's going on in Venezuela. They don't from Venezuela.
We're outside the Federal Detention Center in Brooklyn, where Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro and his wife Celia Flores are being held, and we are seeing dozens of people right outside chanting "No bombing Venezuela" and "No war on Venezuela," demanding the U.S. to release the couple immediately.
I think President Maduro should be returned to Venezuela, and the United States should stop meddling in the Caribbean and in Venezuela.
So far, I have not seen any Venezuelan nationals in this protest. On the other hand, Venezuelans in the community here in New York City are celebrating the capture of Nicolás Maduro.
We don't want Maduro go back to Venezuela. He has to stay here. If they are not from Venezuela, they really don't know what happened in Venezuela.
Nicolás Maduro and his wife spent the night inside of this federal detention center in Brooklyn while they await to see a federal judge to be formally arraigned on narco-terrorism charges, and that could happen as soon as Monday.
So, immigrants from Venezuela saying they don't want him back in Venezuela, saying how grateful they are, but liberal white women with the nose rings have professional signs. And another thing, they're all out there dancing to all these hip hop beats and everything. Indianapolis, and then they're new in New York. Don't these people have anything better to do? I mean,
well, no, they get paid to do that. They make money.
Yeah,
the more protests, the better for them. They probably got people that made six figures last year protesting. Wonder if they turned that into the IRS. I'm afraid. What's your occupation?
Did they claim that on their taxes?
No.
They got to file an I-9 for that.
Soros pays that money under the table. But think about this. The guy that was from Venezuela said, if you're not from Venezuela, basically you don't know what you're talking about. You have no clue.
You have no idea
what Venezuela was like. And, that just reinforces what we say is that they never know what they're talking about. I had the misfortune today of taking a nap. Now, that wasn't the misfortune. I like a good nap. I woke up, and on my television, I think I had it on YouTube before I fell asleep, watching things about the current events. And I woke up with Hakeem Jeffries. And he, right now, of all the liberals, he probably rakes on my nerves the worst. Pelosi's a has-been. Pocahontas, nobody cares. AOC, she's just stupid. Jasmine Crockett has no brain. They ought to, the squad ought to be the cast of The Wizard of
Gilligan's
Oz.
Island?
Yeah,
Gilligan's
Gilligan's
Island.
Island. Yeah. AOC could be Gilligan, and too bad there ain't somebody in the squad that would hit her over the head with a hat when she said something stupid. But seriously, Hakeem Jeffries, he's like a walking talking point. And one of the things I heard him say, again, this is what I woke up to. That was the unfortunate thing. I've counted, and I've heard Trump say the word oil 13 times. Okay, we knew before this ever started that that's what the left was going to say. This is about oil. And he's just, again, he just rakes on my very last nerve. I normally just turn him off when I see him. I can't stand very much time listening to Hakeem Jeffries.
No. The thing about oil, Okay, Donald Trump mentioned this in his announcement on Saturday morning. When he was supposed to go on at 11, but in typical Trump fashion, it was 10:30, 10:45. He spoke about that. Now, Venezuela does have a lot of oil resources. 25 years ago, the United States went in because they have no way to pull it, refine it, get it out and sell it. 25 years ago, the United States went in, put in infrastructure, gave them the way to drill for it, refine it, and sell it. All that equipment is the exact same equipment from 25 years ago. It's all junk. It's all rusted. And Donald Trump said, we're going in, we're going to put new stuff in, we're going to pump oil. Now, all this is going to do is make Venezuela money because it's their natural resources. It's going to make America money because we're going to be selling it. Our gas prices will go down. And the left brings it up every chance they get. Just like George Bush, it's all about the oil. Well, it's not all about the oil. And that's been the point from jump one. It's not about the oil. The oil is the icing on the cake, is the way I see it.
Well, if you look at history, which I don't think liberals understand what that word means. You look at history, and when we went down there and we put the infrastructure in, when we put the labor in, we set Venezuela up royal. It was working fine until socialism hit. Hugo Chavez basically ruined what the Americans put in. And now Maduro has just... Chavez may have been worse than Maduro, or maybe they'd have to have a fist fight to figure out who's the baddest on the planet. But when socialism hit, everything went downhill to the point where Venezuela right now produces very little oil to be exported. Yes. Very little. Now, there's also an issue. I heard an expert on oil talking about the difference between oil that comes from Venezuela and oil that comes from other parts of the world, including the United States. It's a very different makeup. And so when they refine the oil that comes from Venezuela, it's a much longer process, much more difficult process. And so it's expensive to get that done. It can be done, and it can be done successfully, as it was, as you said, 25 plus years ago when we put that in. And that was our infrastructure that was down there. It would have benefited and did benefit everyone for a long time. But as is the case when socialism comes in, communism, they're all forms of isms, and things go to pot.
Pretty much.
If you've got workers that are down there in a free enterprise system and they get paid what they're worth, you got happy people. You get socialism in, and basically they're working for the government for pennies on the dollar. They're not going to take pride in the equipment. They're not going to take pride in the product. And, none of that is a reason to take over a country. And I just get frustrated when I see comments on posts and things like this, and they're so well rehearsed that it's pitiful. Bush and his oil cronies are going to be the ones that make them, not Bush, but Trump and his oil cronies. Bush, being an oil crony in the past, might also. But how do you go from being able to brag that there were no new wars started in the first term to taking over a country for oil? I don't think that that's Trump in Trump's nature. Call me stupid, call me whatever, but I don't think Trump would have done what happened this weekend over oil. Correct me if you think I'm wrong.
No. Yeah, he That was his thing. No new wars. He stopped what he said the other day, 8.25 wars. I don't remember what the quarter was, but why would you stop all these wars just to go to war for oil? It's not oil. It's not. We're not going to war. And I even have a video on that. We are not at war. And this is Marco Rubio explaining that.
Is the United States now at war with Venezuela?
There's not a war. I mean, we are at war against drug trafficking organizations. It's not a war against Venezuela. We are enforcing American laws with regards to oil sanctions. We have sanctioned entities. We go to court. We get a warrant. We seize those boats with oil, and that will continue. We will continue to reserve the right to take strikes against drug boats that are bringing drugs towards the United States that are being operated by transnational criminal organizations, including the Cartel de los Sols. Of course, the leader of that cartel, is now in U.S. custody and facing U.S. justice in the Southern District of New York, and that's Nicolas Maduro. So we made a big progress in that regard.
So there you go. Not a war. Now, if we wanted to go down there for oil, then it would be a war. It's not. War on drugs.
Well,
so
it would have
I
to
just
be
wish people would get over
lots of boots on the ground if it was
absolutely.
a war on oil. You know,
Absolutely.
You can't win a war without boots on the ground. I mean,
No.
you can cause a lot of damage. But if we were going there for oil, why would we want to cause all that damage with bombs and those kinds of strikes when we want the oil?
Yeah.
If we were guilty as a country of what we get accused of, then the last thing we'd want to do would be go down there and blow everything up. So, again, if you folks know me, you know that Pete Hegseth is my guy, and he was on with a couple of things this weekend. We talked about the FAFO, and I had something here. Yeah, I got it back up. I had it ready to go, and then sometimes your computer refreshes, but Hegseth, and the timing is so perfect on this. Hegseth has come out this weekend, and I'll just read you what he said. 6 weeks ago, Senator Mark Kelly and five other members of Congress released a reckless and seditious video that was clearly intended to undermine good order and military discipline. As a retired Navy captain who is still receiving a military pension, Captain Kelly knows he is still accountable to military justice, and the Department of War and the American people expect justice. Therefore, in response to Mark Kelly's seditious statements and his pattern of reckless misconduct, the Department of War is taking administrative action against Captain Mark E. Kelly, USN retired. The department has initiated retirement grade determination proceedings under Article 10 USC 1370F, with reduction in his retired grade resulting in a corresponding reduction in retired pay. To ensure this action, the Secretary of War has also issued a letter of censure, which outlines the totality of Captain, for now, Kelly's reckless misconduct. This censure is a necessary process step and will be placed in Captain Kelly's official and permanent military personnel file. Captain Kelly has been provided notice of the basis for this action and has 30 days to submit a response. The retirement grade determination process, directed by Secretary Hegseth, will be completed within 45 days. Captain Kelly's status as a sitting United States Senator does not exempt him from accountability, and further violations could result in further action. These actions are based on Captain Kelly's public statements from June through December of 2025, in which he characterized lawful military operations as illegal and counseled members of the armed forces to refuse lawful orders. This conduct was seditious in nature and violated Articles 133 and 134 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, to which Captain Kelly remains subject as a retired officer receiving pay. And so there you have accountability
Well,
almost taking place. We'll see how that goes on. Go ahead.
It's accountability, but I really truly wish that something more would be done. And he's just one of the other 6, the sedacious 6, that went on, made this little video and all that. No, I've done some research into some of the people in that video, and one guy, I don't remember his name right offhand, but he was asked several times by different reporters, has Donald Trump come up and given any orders? Well, no. Well, what orders you're talking about? And he was talking about orders that it didn't even come from Donald Trump years and years and years ago. So I think they're preparing for something. I think they're getting ready to, trying to get the troops ready to say no, or, to understand that they can say no. And I think a whole lot more needs to happen. I don't think execution should, but,
No.
I think they should all be censured. I think they should be fired. I think he should be dishonorably discharged from the military, personally, but
And
I don't make those calls.
the reason that he is being singled out, none of the other 5 are still under the Uniform Code of Military Justice because they just got out of the military. Kelly still draws a military pension paycheck.
Yes.
So therefore, he is still under the Uniform Code of Military Justice and should have known better. And shows the arrogance of some people that, knowing that he was drawing a military pension and knowing that there are certain things you can say and certain things you can do, and vice versa, went ahead and did that anyway. And that's why, of all 6, I still believe he is the worst offender. They could have taken further action. Let me just say this. When they talk about putting something in a person's permanent personnel file, that's a big deal in the military. That affects future. It's less important to somebody that's retired, but it's still there. And things in your personnel file can affect future promotions and how much money you're going to make, because a demotion, and for him, it can make several $1,000s a year difference in his pay when they demote him. You're not just given a set amount, you're given a set amount based on the rank that you are. And of course, lowering that lowers your take-home pay. But they could have actually called him back to active duty to face court-martial.
And that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and man, I kind of have a feeling that Hegseth went the way he did because he knew he could get that done. Calling back to active duty, court-martial, all of that is a little more out of his control. It's going to go before a judge. It's, the press is going to beat him to death with Kelly being a liberal. And so my feeling is he did what he knew he could and could control. He wanted to get something done, which never happens in Washington, D.C. That's why I think this is so good. I said consequences, but usually the consequences, as we hear about it in the news, maybe, and nothing happens legally. And here, man's at least going to lose some money.
Big deal. He's going to lose some money. He's still going to get his kickbacks. He's still got a job. I wish more would happen. Consequences. He's going to lose a couple dollars. Who cares?
Because that was one of the worst things the Democrats have done to the country in a long time.
Yeah.
Going after the military and putting doubt in military members' mind. I mean, just think about this. They're screaming and yelling that this action goes against international law. Well, have you ever heard anybody identify international law? What is international law? Is that like the UN Charter or something? But screaming that he's breaking, he being Trump, breaking international law, that he's breaking the Constitution, which, you know, we got a lecture from Russia on our own Constitution. But all of these things that we as a country are doing that they don't come up with any consequences against us. There's usually no consequences to the Democrats that, I mean, there's no bigger breaking of the law than that one video. And so saying that we were breaking international law, our troops could have thought that that's an illegal order. They're making us go attack Venezuela. That's an illegal order, and so we don't have to do it.
Pretty much.
Now, you and I know military people too well to know that they love stuff like that. I mean, that's what they live for.
There's not too many that would have questioned that order, I don't think.
But could have.
No,
And
on
that
what you
would
were
have been
saying
the
about
incentive.
on what you were saying about how the the Democrats are saying how this was an illegal operation and all that. What about when Obama administration killed Osama bin Laden? There was no trial offered. There was no anything. They went in, captured and killed him, and dumped him in the ocean. There was no congressional approval of that. Obama invaded Libya, and the opposition in Libya killed Gaddafi. There was no congressional approval there. Those were actually military operations. There was no law enforcement involved. Biden killed the Al-Qaeda leader in 2022. No congressional approval. Trump swoops in and brings a man alive back to the United States to face justice, to face trial. The Democrats are going crazy. It's so hypocritical. How many times do we need to cover this on Red, White, and True? Rules for thee, but not for me. This is what's taking me off everything.
The whole Venezuela thing is showing that, it's like its own production of rules for you, but not for me. That could probably be like a sermon headline. Rules for you, but not for me.
Pretty much. It's really upsetting. But, like I said, I could really see Donald Trump going back in time and executing Hitler, and they would still come out and support Adolf Hitler.
I really believe the same thing.
But maybe they're onto something. Go ahead. Well, I was just saying, maybe they're onto something, because I did hear, trying to make a few laughs here, that Maduro was being tortured.
This next part's my favorite part, cause it's time to shine. Gonna do the two-step and cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart and spin out with him. Do the hold down and get into it. Take it to...
Obviously, that was AI, but this, Maduro did have a very good Christmas, and I believe this came from the White House. Had to lighten the mood a little bit, but yeah, he the him dancing at the Christmas party was not AI. That was actually him dancing, and he can cut a rug. So he can cut a rug and sell a drug.
I think you have a speech, don't you, where he basically invited us to come to Venezuela?
Yes, I do.
Venga por mí. Aquí lo espero en Miraflores. No se tarde en llegar, cobarde.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
He invited us.
He invited us, called us cowards. We just
That's
had
right.
to show him. He just FA.
We just RSVP'd in the middle of the night.
Yes, we did. Well, we've talked about the Russian ambassador to the United Nations a few times.
Yes.
Ronnie
Old
referred
egghead.
to him as Egghead, and it's going to be hard for you to watch this and not just concentrate on him being Egghead, but listen to the translator.
We firmly condemn the U.S. act of armed aggression against Venezuela in breach of all international legal norms. In connection with the confirmed reports about the presence of the abducted president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and his spouse in the United States, today, as we are aware, they are in New York, we call upon, corrects the Speaker, the U.S. leadership to immediately release the legitimately elected president of an independent state and his spouse. Any problems existing or conflict between the United States and Venezuela need to be resolved through dialogue. And this is precisely what is enshrined in the UN Charter, the purposes and the principles of which a number of states in recent years have begun to apply selectively, depending upon the political landscape. Today, we are reaping the consequences of their recklessness and selectivity in matters related to respect for the norms of international law, which were linked to the so-called rules-based world order. Here is your rules-based world order in all of its glory, which is horrifying even the staunchest Atlanticists.
Sleepy Joe Biden's got a brother, and he's Russian?
And we are being lectured. Yes. Probably at the exact same time that a command was given for a drone to strike an apartment complex in Kiev. Not heard about massive amounts of civilians that were killed. Have you heard any death totals on the attack?
I have not.
And I have not either. Other than that we didn't lose any troops, which is a great thing. Well, we've kind of jumped all around today.
We have.
Kind of, legitimately, because there's so many things, and we really haven't talked about Tampon Tim very much. Tampon Tim in September announced that he was running for re-election, which for what would have been his third term. You have a video?
Yes, I do.
I figured.
For the last several years, an organized group of criminals have sought to take advantage of this state's generosity. And even as we make progress in the fight against the fraudsters, we now see an organized group of political actors seeking to take advantage of a crisis. A single taxpayer dollar wasted on fraud should be intolerable. And while there's a role to play for everyone, from the legislature to prosecutors to insurance companies to local and county government, the buck does stop with me. In September, I announced that I would seek a historic third term as Minnesota's governor. And I have every confidence that if I gave it my all, we would win the race. But as I reflect on this moment with my family and my team over the holidays, I came to the conclusion that I can't give a political campaign my all. So I've decided to step out of this race, and I'll let others worry about the election while I focus on the work that's in front of me for the next year.
Oh boy, he's going to let others focus on the election. He's going to work diligently.
Yeah, he's going to make up stories and do stolen valor. To me, him and Captain Kelly belong together, because Captain Kelly, he just wasn't a captain. He was also an astronaut. I mean, he is someone that, based on his experiences in life, we should respect. You would think that being the governor, the vice presidential candidate, that we should have respect for Tampon Tim. But if we did, we wouldn't be calling him Tampon Tim.
Right. And he's friends with school shooters too, because he's a knucklehead. And he's friends with school shooters.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you don't know where that reference came from, that was from the debate with JD Vance, and for some reason, he decided to say on stage that he became friends with school shooters. So, good for him, I guess. It has been asked of him what school shooters he was friends with and why he would be friends with school shooters. But in the stolen valor thing, Tampon Tim is walking stolen valor, saying he carried arms in combat, and it was proven that he never did. So, but my guess is he's probably jumping ship before he ends up in the orange jumpsuit, right next to Maduro and Diddy. And
I seen a meme that had Maduro sitting on Diddy's lap.
Yeah, that was mine.
Oh, okay.
He said they took my oil too, or something.
Yeah. We get so many where they came from, and that's good.
Yeah.
Continue to send us things that make us laugh, that you think we should talk about. Be a good time to talk about us for a second. This is Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. Somehow, Ronnie is now on the right, and I'm on the left, if you're looking at your screen. Actually, he's upstairs, I'm downstairs. It's too bad we don't have a setup down here to where we were both at the same desk and kind of just looking across the desk at each other. But I don't know. There's times where we make each other laugh a little bit, and we might have a hard. It's not as easy to laugh when you don't see the person's total expression and everything. So maybe it's best that we're this way. We're on Mondays, Wednesdays, and either Fridays or Saturdays. This past week, we were on Saturday. The week before Friday, it's kind of based on what's going on in our lives. But Mondays and Wednesdays are set dates for us. We don't have set topics. Lately, we've just been covering the main news stories because that's all that's going on. Well, no, that's not all that's going on, but that's what's going on in the world is major news stories. Tim Waltz, if this was a regular news cycle, would have been the top story, and we would have talked about it for 15 minutes. But today, here we are. It's 5 minutes till 8, and we're just getting around to Tampon Tim. That name just fits him so well.
It does. It does. And if you don't know what we're talking about, he pushed to get tampons and feminine hygiene products in women's restrooms and
men's restrooms.
Men's restroom, yeah, men's restrooms. Which I guess isn't that really big of a deal, because if you go to like Cummins here in Columbus, IUPUC here in Columbus, other places they have feminine hygiene products in men's restrooms. Let's not go there tonight. I'm not even going to cover it tonight.
Yeah,
we're going to skip that. Well, I'm not even going to go there. Hey, JD Vance's house in Cincinnati got broken into. We can jump on that real quick, don't we?
Yeah,
we got time.
Well, I seen he said one of the things that he said was about the news coverage of it, and he's not sure why showing broken windows in his house legitimizes them covering this. He said they appreciated the coverage, and but again, I mean, it's his house. They're shooting the layout of the house and all of those things. And fortunately, he had Secret Service. They weren't at home. They'd already left back for D.C. But go ahead, Ronnie. Show what you got.
Someone tried to break into J.D. Vance's home, armed with a hammer. Just after midnight on Monday, Secret Service agents guarding his Cincinnati home heard loud smashing sounds and then saw a man running from the property. Turns out 4 windows had been shattered. And on the way in, the suspect also vandalized a Secret Service vehicle. Agents detained the man within minutes. He's been identified as 26-year-old William DeFore, who now faces multiple charges, including criminal trespass, vandalism, and damaging property. J.D. Vance, his wife Usha, and their 3 young children were luckily not home. They were already back in Washington, D.C. Vance later confirmed the incident himself, thanking the Secret Service and local police, and saying it appeared to be the work of a crazy person.
Now, why would that 26-year-old baby face that, had they not said William, I would have guessed a female, but why would this in J.D. Vance's words, crazy person do this? Now, how many times have we covered on here? How many times in the past the Democrats, rooting for violence and saying it's time to step up and yada, yada, yada. Then you get an idiot like this that gets it in their head. Hey, they're telling me to do it, and they go and do it. Donald Trump's been shot at. He's been shot. Multiple assassination attempts, and now J.D. Vance is home in Cincinnati. Charlie Kirk assassinated. What more is it going to take? What more is it going to take before the next time a Democrat says you go up to them at a restaurant or a gasoline station and get in their face before this crap knocks it off? And then they have Mike Obama stand there and go, well, when they go low, we go high. And no, you go lower and kick them in the face.
Think about this. There were Secret Service agents there, and he still got to the point where he could break windows in the house.
Absolutely. What if he had a rifle?
Or what if JD was on the road and his wife and 3 kids were home? Now, I'm sure if that was the case, there would have been more Secret Service than with them out of town, but still. Politicians.
It just doesn't make it right.
Actors, all of those people are human people just like we are. And if those kids would have been home, they'd have been terrified. Somebody tried to break into our house. I mean, you look, he just walked from window to window, smashing it with a hammer. And the left.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but we got some breaking news coming in.
Wanted to give you a live update here. About in the last half hour or so, there was a bunch of gunfire heard, and reports possibly of some explosions and anti-aircraft fire near the presidential palace in Caracas, Venezuela. Now, I don't really know what happened here. So, this might not be a long stream.
So yeah, I don't know what's going on. This just came up. It literally just started as I switched over to here. Gunfire and explosions in the presidential palace in Caracas, Venezuela. This is thank you to Steve Lookner and Agenda Free TV. I will be keeping an eye on this, and if we need to, we can come back and go into that, see what's going on there. But
well, that brings up the point
that
we say we're in charge there, but technically we're not.
No.
Technically Venezuela still has a government. And I don't know who is at the presidential palace, but there's going to be loyalists to Maduro. There's actually been some government officials that have spoke out and spoke up in favor of Maduro. And, when you're a terrorist thug leader, there's a lot of people that are loyal to you because they know if they're not, they'll get killed. And so there's got to be some remnant of that still in Venezuela.
Yeah. So I'll keep an eye on this the rest of the night, and if need to, we can jump back on here.
Yeah, I've got one more video. I wanted to show at least a little bit of Maduro. Here's what this says.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, Words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
I knew I had it. I knew I had it somewhere. I just had it mislabeled. I couldn't resist. As I said earlier, that's probably my favorite line from everything that happened this weekend.
Oh yeah. I had that video Saturday, and yeah, that was my favorite line of the entire day.
Yeah, I might just leave it on here.
Yeah.
And just if I'm feeling in that kind of mood, or maybe I'll cut it up a little bit and just do about 15 seconds ending with effed around and found out.
There you go.
Well, why don't you close us out unless you have something that we didn't get to that you really wanted to. And it's okay. We don't have a time restraint. We didn't get into Mandani.
No. So Mamdani was going to be my 2 segments from last week. I have one written called the Mamdani effect. We'll get to that as soon as we don't have 8 million things to cover, breaking news. So yeah, we'll get
I see
there.
that you had a video that we could have went down that direction, but Cuba's days are numbered. Socialist nation.
Yeah.
That
yeah, that's Lindsey Graham on Air Force One talking about their days are numbered. There's already planning in the works of doing there what we did to Venezuela, from what I understand, but that's not
and
too pressing.
And the president, he had some strong words for Colombia's government too. Wasn't that the right country?
Yeah, Colombia and Cuba both. So
yeah, Colombia.
We'll get into that when we got more time.
President is awfully bold right now. He talks a pretty good game, but
yeah,
I don't think I'd be sticking an angry bear.
Right.
That's probably not the smartest thing in the world to do.
Well, and Donald Trump even said Saturday morning when he did his press conference, Colombia's president needs to, quote, watch his ass. So
we could go on with this for a long time and talk about Trump's way of governing in the first term versus the way he's governed this term. Plus, to keep in mind that there has been, what you said, I think 8.5 wars that he has stopped. But you look at all of the different things that we've done militarily, and there's a lot we could talk about. But
oh yeah,
for now, we're just going to cover the headlines, and I think we've done that fairly well tonight.
Yep.
If we're
going to keep an eye on this gunfire.
Yeah, if we didn't do it well enough, it's because there was so much of it. And as I said earlier, each one of the stories that we covered tonight on a regular news cycle would have been the major story. And we kind of wrapped it all up in one segment of an hour and 7 this time on Wednesday, unless something breaks down before. And I don't make predictions on that, but there's something going on right now that we don't know exactly what it is, and so you may see us even later tonight. Take us out of here, Ronnie.
Yeah, sorry, I was listening to what's going on with the gunfire in Caracas. If you're not friends with us on Facebook, please get on, search up Red, White, and True, Ed and Ronnie. I will post up more information as far as the gunfire going on in Caracas right now, the breaking news on there. If we have to come back live, we will. So just keep checking us out. We appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for all your love, support, and prayers. And like the banner says, prayers, questions, comments, concerns, post it up in the chat. Please do. We do read every comment, and we appreciate every single one. So until next time, Wednesday at the latest at 7 p.m. right here, Eastern Standard Time, Red, White, and True. Please do us a favor and go out and do the right thing.
Thank you for joining us for today's live stream. This has been a presentation of Ed Boston Media,